It's been 9 years. Like, how are we moving?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we not moving in the right direction, then eventually I have to go my own way because I'm not going to sit around and just play games.
Right.
Like, straight up.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Real Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
And I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
And y'all going to be excited, too, because we got a good one for y'all today.
A great one.
You know, a lot of y'all might listen to this podcast because, you know, I'm always in the shade room comments.
Always.
If only about topics that I care about, right? So, of course, we run a relationship podcast where we talk about relationships. So if there's a post about relationships, I give my 2 cents. And a couple of days ago and yesterday, you know, some comments that I left rub people the wrong way. But I don't care because it's things that people needed to hear, which, you know, we got a lot of feedback, if you want to call it that. Yeah. And it prompted us to do this episode today. But before we get into what this episode is all about, we have a couple of announcements we need to make.
Yes. So if you guys don't know already, you should know. But we launched our Patreon, okay, you guys?
Yeah.
And we're so excited for this Patreon, okay? Because we have so many great things that's coming along with this Patreon, okay?
Right. Yep.
We are trying to help you take your relationship, your real relationship, to the next level in 2021. Yes, skyrocket.
That's the sound of a plane, I think, or a rocket.
Take it off. Yeah, so we want you to make sure, have all these tools to make sure your relationship is on the best possible level that it can be. You're loving your partner. Y'all are just having a great time with each other, just getting to know each other more, getting to know yourself more. And we're doing that with all the resources that we're offering through our Patreon, right?
And it's a lot of resources. All right, so let me give you a quick rundown. We got, of course, our book club, which we announced on our Instagram page. Like, if you're not reading, if you're not educating on yourself on how to love, the chances are you're not loving your partner the right way. So there's a lot of hidden gems that are hidden in books. And if you take a chance to really just dive into it, you can really help take your relationship to the next level. So you want to make sure you join our book club. We have a text community where you can reach us directly any time of the day, but don't be drawing, you know, trying to, you know, text us past 9, 10 o'clock. We got kids, all right? So we go to bed. We got the text community. We got, what else? Expert interviews that if you follow us on Instagram, you saw some of the snippets that we put out from Devon Franklin, from Julian John Gottman. They're very powerful interviews, so you definitely want to, you know, get into that. We got real relationship exercises. We got our bi-weekly wind down, which I know Asha is looking forward to.
Yes, you guys asked for, okay? If y'all have been following us, y'all know we do our weekly Bible study every Thursday. And afterwards, we have a little chit-chat with you all, answering questions, whatever you want to talk about. So we asked, how can we get more involved with you guys? And you agree. You know, some of y'all want a little bit more than wine.
Yeah, y'all was going in.
So what y'all choose to pour in y'all cup is y'all business.
Right.
But we're going to have a wind down. So we're going to, you know, sip a little wine, unwind, relax, and just, you know, talk about whatever's on our minds. And y'all asked for it. We giving it to y'all. So, you know, make sure y'all tuning in and joining, because we want to connect with y'all, interact, and see what we can do with this, you know, wind down.
Yeah. And a lot of people have also, since we started this podcast, has been asking us, do we do relationship coaching? And as we told you before, we didn't want to jump out there and just start doing relationship coaching because there were still things that, you know, we were working on in our relationship, and we're still working to this day. But we wanted to make sure we was educated enough to really help people solve their problems. So with this Patreon, we're also offering one-on-one relationship coaching with yours truly and Asha. So so you definitely want to hurry up and get on there because we only have a limited spots for the relationship coaching. So you want to check that out. It's patreon.com/real-relationship-podcast. Also, another announcement that we have. Look, I made a calling to, you know, all my men out there that, you know, in order for us to become great boyfriends, great husbands, great leaders, great fathers, we first have to learn how to become great men. So I announced to everybody about the Man Enough movement that I'm starting, Man Enough Now, and the Instagram page. And a lot of you went and followed the page right after you guys listened to this podcast. So I thank all the fellas out there for taking the initiative to become, man enough to become better men and following this movement.
Yes. So before we get into our topic, because we kind of have a question from a real one, but that kind of leads into our topic for today, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a just keeping it real moment before we get into the bread and butter?
Yeah, I do. What is it? It's January. We're recording this on January 6th. We're gonna put it out for our Patreon on January. No, we're gonna put it out on January 6th for our Patreon. We're gonna put it out for everybody else on Friday. So my just keeping it real moment is, I know a lot of people went into this new year with the mindset, new year, new me. And you set a lot of goals for your life for this year. And a lot of you have fell off already, right? You have let yourself down. You didn't follow through with the changes that you said you were going to make in the new year. But I just want to keep it real with you. It's not too late. Like, we're only 6 days into the new year, right? So you still have a chance to make 2021 the year that you want it to be. But you got to start now. You can't keep putting things off, right? You can't let these 6 days or this week turn into 2 weeks. You can't let those 2 weeks turn into a month or turn into a year. Because I know too often, and I know just from my own experience, that a lot of times we can put off our New Year's goals, and by the time we look up, it's already December. And it's about to be a new year, and we're nowhere near closer to the goals that we had set for ourselves in the beginning of the year. So I'm just keeping it real with y'all. Like, there's things that I wanted to start that I didn't start yet, but I'm going to start now, right? And I'm challenging you to start now. Whatever goals you set for yourself in the beginning of the year, it's time to get to it. Don't spend time wasting thinking that you got tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promising. Like I said, tomorrow can end up turning into 6 months from now. So whatever your goals are, just go out there and get it done today.
Yes, get to it, you guys. So let's get into this topic, okay?
Yeah.
Because this right here, it sparked a lot of discussion, okay?
A lot.
So,
I'm talking about the type of discussion where y'all was keeping us up all night because our phone was just blowing up with notifications because y'all was up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to write some of y'all and be like, all right, we get it. Go to bed.
Oh my goodness.
Because y'all was drawing.
So we had a video that we posted on our social media, and it sparked a lot of conversation, and one of our real ones actually left a comment, and people get on there and comment as well.
Yeah.
And it was just a heated, debate. Okay.
It got crazy.
So
Cray.
This message stemmed from the comment that was left from one of our real ones. It says, "Hi y'all, Happy New Year's. Following up with the comment I made about the situation. I have been with my boyfriend for 9 years. Our anniversary is this month. We have been living together for 3 years in a home we purchased together. We are not engaged and we do not have children. I have always made my intentions clear about marriage and children. He always replies with wanting that too, but there's never no follow through. He always told me we would get engaged after I graduated. I graduated with my master's in 2018.
Shout out to you.
We already been living together for a year. Fast forward to now, and the last time we had a serious conversation was in October. I repeated what I wanted, and with him saying he wants the same thing, but no actual plan as to when."
Yeah. So it's a lot of talking, not a lot of planning.
Yes.
Not a lot of executing. So my question is to you, which happens to be the title of this episode, is, Asha, how long is too long?
It's too long. You asking me?
Yeah, how long is too long?
Oh, okay. Let me get comfortable because this is going to be... I just feel like I have to break it down, okay? So we're going to start from the very, very beginning. And I'm going to start from... give an example from our situation, of course, because that's all I know, right?
Right.
So, we got engaged. I want to say like
I like when
2
you put
years.
your hand on my thigh like that. I'm sorry. I
can't.
I just like it.
Okay, so we got
Keep
engaged.
it there this whole episode.
I can't. Okay, they can't even see my hand. You
I can feel it though.
Y'all pause. So we got engaged 2 years after us dating, talking, whatever. Okay. And so let's just start with that, right? Let's just sit in that for a moment, because in the midst of this question, it was also other questions and comments and statements that were thrown out there. So like I said, we have to tackle this all, peel the onion back, because there's a lot of layers to this.
A lot of layers.
So it was, I believe, a statement made saying that men know pretty much a year or maybe before
they was saying I saw somebody comment that men know right away within the first 6 months of talking to a woman what the future is going to hold with that woman. And I don't know where y'all got this from, but I see women say this all the time, and I see a lot of men chime in and agree with them. And I don't know if y'all got it from Steve Harvey's Think Like a Man or whatever y'all got this from, but I'm telling you, it's wrong. It's not true. Like it's just not true. I don't know how other way to put it. Like Asha said, we didn't get engaged into 2 years after us, getting to know each other. Mm-hmm. And there's no way within the first 6 months that I knew that I wanted to be with Asha for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a huge decision to make. And because somebody put that out there into the atmosphere and everybody breathed it in and believed that that was Bible, a lot of y'all are missing out on some blessings in y'all life because y'all have a clock, a 6-month clock on your relationship. And if a person doesn't make moves in order to make you their life partner, their wife or husband, wife in this case, then you up and leave. Mm-hmm. And you could be missing out on a blessing. So I would tell people to unlearn that. Wherever you learned it from, unlearn it. Like, come on, they don't even make you choose your major in college in the first year. Yeah. And y'all up here trying to choose the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, build a family with, build a future with in 3 to 6 months. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. So I just like to touch on that. I just feel like it's not realistic. Okay. Granted, some people have done it. It may work for some. It may have not worked for a lot. But I just feel like it's not realistic for having a very healthy future or relationship or marriage. Reason being is because that's the time where you're new and getting to know that person, right? So to me, I feel like I'll speak from a woman's standpoint, like put so much pressure on, I'm supposed to be married within this or engaged, or he's supposed to know within this certain amount of time, mm-hmm. right? And the idea of 6 months to a year is not realistic for me. Just because you're getting to know that person, right? I feel like in life, as an individual, we go through phases of getting to know ourselves. Yeah. We're constantly changing. Who I was when I was 20, when we first started dating, 22, is not who I am going into 32, right? I'll be, approaching 32 this year. We're coming up
We'll be approaching 32 this year.
We're coming up on 10 years of being together. Yeah. 10 years. So who I was, and I hope, and I really hope and pray, because if you're staying the same from a 10-year time span, that's a problem. So I will hope that there will be some type of growth within you from the first year y'all start dating, the first 6 months, to the time when y'all do get engaged, right? So you're constantly getting to know yourself. You're constantly getting to know that person. You're evolving. So why would you think that you know all of that person enough to commit to marriage, which is supposed to be a lifetime union, mm-hmm. within the first 6 months to a year, is beyond me. And I don't understand why people stress so much on, getting engaged in a certain time frame. Now, granted, if you've been with a person for an extended period of time, and we'll touch on that, like I said, with this topic, it sways, right? Mm-hmm. Because it is a time frame where it's like, okay, we need to figure this out, right? Versus it being too early and you just rushing into it,
right? Yeah, I think a lot of people rush into it just because of the pressures that society put on everybody nowadays. Like, mm-hmm. everybody want to rush to get married, and then they end up rushing to get a divorce. So mm-hmm. I would just take my time to actually get to know the person. I think Asha brought up a great point where it's like, look how long it has taken you to get to know yourself. And every day you're still figuring out new things about yourself, things that make you tick, things that you're passionate about. How could you possibly know everything about somebody within the first 6 months
Right.
or within a year to make the decision that I am going to spend the rest of my life with you and mean it.
Right.
Because a lot of people say it, but they don't mean it, right? What they really mean is, as long as you make me happy, as long as everything is going well, then I'll be with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, then I'm leaving. And that's not how marriage should be. Like I said on the Shade Room, it should be a covenant, not a contract, right? I've never heard a person during their wedding vows say to somebody, I promise to love you through sickness and health, as long as you love me,
Right.
as long as you treat me right, till death do us part, as long as you make me smile,
Right.
as long as nothing happens to you, you always remain attractive and you don't gain weight. Like you stand across from each other and you look each other in the eyes and you say, till death do us part through sickness and health, I will be there by your side, right? I give myself to you. It's a covenant. And a lot of times people are rushing into relationships or rushing into marriage, not knowing if that person across from them is worthy of them giving them their full self too.
Yeah.
Right. So the marriages don't end up lasting. And I honestly believe that you have to go through certain phases. Like there's phases to love. There's phases to relationships. And when you're rushing to hurry up and get to that marriage, you're skipping over those phases.
Right.
Which end up hurting you in the long run. Like we talked about before, we do a lot of research on this stuff, on relationships and love. So we're not just talking just to talk, but we're looking at the data. We're looking at the research and seeing why relationships and marriages are not working. And one of the things that we came across was the 3 phases of love, right? So in the first phase, which I think people make a lot of a mistake of going for marriage, is the first phase is called limerence, which is the falling in love stage, where you just are attracted to this person, right? And you want to be around them all the time because it's exciting. Like getting to know somebody new is exciting. You know, going on dates is exciting. Like seeing this person is exciting. And during this phase, we tend to block out the red flags,
Right.
or all the negatives about this new person that we're so interested in. Like we're completely blind to that other side of the person. We only focused on the good side. And then as time goes on, as you move into the next phase number 2, which is all about, you know, building up trust and loyalty, then you start to see those red flags, right? You start to notice those red flags that you missed in the first phase of love, of a relationship. And then y'all start coming at each other about it, right? They say that the most arguments in a relationship happen within the first 2 years. So whether you make it to phase 3 is all about how you argue, right? So phase 3 is all about building that deep love, that deep commitment with one another. Wondering if you can spend your life with somebody, if you're willing to give everything to them, right? Through sickness or health. But those are the 3 phases that you must go through in a relationship. And when you rush it, right, it's when you put your relationship at risk, when you put your marriage at risk, because you didn't go through the proper phases of love. So then you start working on these issues, like the second phase, which is building trust, wondering if that person is worthy of you giving your heart to, and you know that they won't hurt it. You start working on that during marriage, when that should have been done in a relationship.
Yeah, I'll give, so from an example from us, right? And we talked about this in a podcast before, which I believe it was titled, We Shouldn't Have Gotten Married, right? And it was pretty much the timing factor, because we, like I said, got engaged 2 years after us dating. At the time that we got engaged, it was a lot of things going on, from Devin, you know, battling injuries, from playing football, from Leah being diagnosed. So it was just a lot of things that were just unsettled, just a commotion of emotions and everything going on. So at the time that we got engaged, it wasn't like the typical ideal time where you're just like, on cloud nine and, just happy and in love and just ready to start planning, right? That was overshadowed by some real life issues. So we talked about and we discussed how we wish that we had taken more time to actually get to know each other from everything that transpired during that time before going forward with the marriage. And i.e. like counseling, premarital counseling, all that stuff to help us, because that also plays a part in it as well. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm getting engaged. Well, most women, your idea of getting engaged and, oh, I want to be married and everything like that. But the real work starts when you're in the marriage, right? Yeah. That's when it gets serious. Like, everyone puts so much emphasis on the wedding and the engagement and the celebration and the events of all of it, which is all, glitz and glam. But once all of that dies down, now it's time to really work, because it's like marriage is no joke. So we're rushing to spend a lifetime with this person, but how much work are we putting into the before, right? How much preparation are we putting into our marriage to make sure that it sustains and it lasts, and we're not just in a contract, we're actually in a loving union that we have stood before God and all our family and friends and wanted to be with this person, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because it's like, would you roll out of bed one day and go run the Boston Marathon?
Right.
Like, hey, I'm just going to get up and go run the Boston Marathon.
You have to.
No, you're going to train.
Right.
You're going to put in the work so that it's easier when you go run that marathon, that you're better equipped to handle the longevity of the Boston Marathon. So then why are we rushing into marriage and we're not equipped to handle the longevity of a marriage? Like, this is supposed to be a lifetime. You got to go into this as prepared as possible.
Yes.
Now, we're not saying that you can't go get married in 6 months and it works out for you, because there's pretty sure that there's people out there, right? But they're the outliers. Like, I feel like it's all dependent upon somebody's situation. Like, I don't think there's a set number. There's a set amount of time for each relationship, but it's all dependent on what season you are in your life.
Right.
With your partner. Because I can tell you with me, a lot of times people ask me, how did I know that Asha was the one? Right? Like, what was she exhibiting? And before, I was like, I was talking to Asha about this not too long ago. It was like, I would just say stuff, anything that came to my mind. Because I really didn't know how to answer that question. Because, like, growing up, I wasn't taught what a wife was or what a wife should do. So there was no way within the first 6 months that I was going to see certain qualities in Asha that say, oh, that's my wife, because that's what wives do. Like, there were things that we had to go through in our lives that showed me that this is the person I can spend my whole life with, right? Because she has seen me in every season of my life. Like, when we first met each other, I was a millionaire. And I'm sexy as hell. So it's like, it's not hard for a woman to want to be around me and to love on me, right? You getting the best of both worlds. So I saw how she was when I was at my highest. And then when Leah got diagnosed with cancer and I was at my lowest, I saw how she was when I was at my lowest. And one thing about Asha, she never changed. She was the same person at my highest that she was at my lowest. And that's when I realized, like, I can go through life with this person, because I know that life is a roller coaster. It's filled with ups and downs. And I don't want to be on a ride with somebody who jumps out when things get crazy, when things get scary. Like, I want that partner that's going to grip onto your arm and hold you tight and let you know, I'm scared, but I'm going to ride this thing out with you.
Right.
And when Asha did that for me, I was like, man, this is the one. Because she's willing to ride it out with me. And hopefully our ride is smooth for the majority of our time together. But I know if it's bumpy, that she's going to be there. And that's how I knew that she was the one. But it took time to do that. Right. The first 6 months, it was beautiful. We was traveling. We was doing whatever we wanted to do. But it was after that, right? After the first year, that I really found out who Asha was at the core. Like, what her values were, what she stood for. And that's when I was like, yeah, she's the one. So like I said, it's all dependent on what season you are in your life. and what you and that person goes through. But to rush into something that's supposed to be a lifetime, it don't make any sense to me.
Yeah. That gives me it just comes in my mind, the example of, I don't know if most of y'all probably saw The Diary of a Mad Black Woman, right?
Yeah.
And it's a scenario that's very realistic to a lot of people, where it's like, they were together, they got married, then comes his riches and all this other stuff. Situation occurs in their relationship. I don't know if she couldn't have children or what. I don't remember what the issue was, but something happened that shifted him, and he completely changed and wanted to go and be with another woman and share this glamorous lifestyle with this other woman and leave his wife and all of this other stuff. And it just makes me think of how many times do you rush into a situation or rush into a relationship or rush into a marriage and not truly know that person, right?
Yeah.
You said, just like you said, you with somebody when they high and you with somebody when they low, and that could be two different people, right?
Oh, yeah.
They could not take on, all the baggage, all the turmoil and trials that you go through the way they take on, the flights and the luxury lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
They might just be there for that. You never know. So all of that makes me think of like how when you say, oh, a year or 6 months, is just like, how much do you really know this person?
Yeah.
Right? Because you really need to know someone through every season of their life to really experience how they will be long term, right? How they'll be able to handle when they're going through something that's a problem. Because a lot of times, and we've seen it, especially like you said with Leah being sick, diagnosed with cancer, how that affected so many couples that were married. And we weren't even married, mind you. We were not even engaged. We were just getting engaged.
I can't tell you how many families, because, we have a foundation where we work with families who are battling cancer. I can't tell you how many moms I have sat down with who said when their child got diagnosed with cancer, the dad just up and left.
Yeah. So it's
married couples.
A lot of married couples that have been like broken. Yeah. And separated because of something so like tragic happening. So that's just one incident amongst many that, can tear apart, a family or whatever the case may be. So I just feel like seeing people or seeing an individual in certain lights and understanding how they're going to be, how they're going to carry you and pick you up when you're down or carry the load when you're going through something is very crucial for a marriage, to see if you'll be able to withhold all the things life are going to throw at you, because life isn't easy for no one. I don't care what nobody said. No. You're going to be thrown curveballs and life is going to come at you hard. And it's just like, is this person going to ride out with me, or are they going to just hop out at the next exit?
Yeah. And I heard a quote that years ago that really stuck with me when you just said that, life is going to get hard at some point. When the quote said that you're either coming out of a storm or you're going into one. But there's always going to be dark times that you're going to have to go through. And you want to make sure that the partner you're with is either going to be your light in that darkness, or they're going to walk through the darkness with you. And you got to figure that out before you get married. I think a reasonable amount of time, matter of fact, before I say what I think a reasonable amount of time is, what do you think?
For what?
Before you get engaged, let's say. What's a reasonable amount of time for, people dating before they get engaged?
So, I mean,
and this isn't Bible. It's like, don't hold it to it, but this is just a general statement.
Honestly, I feel like it depends on the situation. For us getting engaged, like I said, us getting engaged after 2 years, I was shocked, to be honest. I wasn't expecting it. Like, we had talked randomly before about like marriage, not like us getting married, like, oh, we're getting married for sure, but like we mentioned it, like what do you want, or what could you see for your future, right? So it wasn't like something that we were actually sitting down planning or working towards. So when we did get engaged, I wasn't expecting it, right? I felt like we were somewhat in the phase of still getting to know each other. And like you said, like I said, going through that storm, it was, how are we going to weather this storm, right? Yeah. Because it was a whole world, a different world to me, being with Devin, him being an athlete, and all that you were going through with your injuries and getting blood clots and all of that, to take on all of that, and then to turn around and take on Leah getting sick. Yeah. So that was just like, okay, a time where we probably should have pumped the brakes and still seen how we handled the situation. However, I feel like that helps to bring us closer together and see how we were in a certain light. But I don't necessarily, I feel like everyone's situation is different. Like some people may wait 2 years. Some people may wait 3 years. Some people may wait longer. I feel like as a grown adult, I feel like honestly within a 5-year time frame, you know that person.
Right.
Especially like if you're in your 20s, just say you're in your early 20s, right? You get to know somebody when they're 21. By 26, you start to see a shift of them becoming themselves and growing into who they are and what they want to do with their career and everything like that. And as you get older, you're even more seasoned, right? You already know what you have going for yourself. You know what you want out of life. So I feel the time frame gets shorter as you are more mature and you know what you're looking for. But I definitely feel like within a 5-year span, you should know for sure this is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with or not.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's really dependent on, number one, your age, right? So if you're young, you getting out of high school, or you're in college, or you just getting out of college, like you have to understand that when you get in a marriage, it goes from me to we. So there's never going to be a time where you're able to really solely focus on yourself and on your goals and your aspiration than when you're young.
Right.
So if you want to have that time to really focus on your dreams, then I would not get married right away when I'm young. Like I will focus on myself. I will focus on building up myself before I get into a partnership with somebody else. But I think that around that 2-year mark, like Asha said, 2 to 5 years is a good amount of time to really get to know somebody. And then you got to think about whether it's a long distance relationship or you're actually living in the same area as this person where you can see them all the time. Because of course you can speed that time up when you're around the person. Like you'll be on the shorter end of the stick. But if you're dealing with a long distance relationship like me and Asha was dealing with, it takes some time to get to know somebody, long distance, and be around them and see, can I be around this person every day? We talked about in our last podcast, can I still love this person although they may have traits that I don't like? Like you have to go through a certain process. You have to go through seasons. So what I would say, I heard somebody else say this before, is that you have to enjoy each season of a relationship, which is dating, being able to enjoy being boyfriend and girlfriend, being able to enjoy, being engaged, because a lot of people, they get engaged and they're like, all right, plan a wedding. We getting married next week. Right? Yeah. Instead of enjoying that time where you're just engaged to be able to plan stuff, because I think an engagement is really when you figure, things out. If you can make this, because everybody start thinking to themselves when they're now engaged, can I really do this?
Right.
Can I really go through with this marriage? So that gives you more time to really get to learn this person even more. And then, of course, you got to enjoy the marriage, right? Being able to enjoy each other company before you introduce kids to it, right? Because like I said, it went from a me to we, and then it goes from a we to they.
Right.
Like your focus goes on your kids. And that's why a lot of people report losing intimacy once they have their first child. So you have to be able to allow yourself to enjoy the different seasons of relationships, to go through the 3 different phases of a relationship before you make that type of commitment, because we're here trying to make marriage last.
Yeah.
Right? We're not trying to just walk around and say, hey, look, I'm married, or look at my ring. Oh, I'm a wife. Like, no, we're trying to do the work to really make this last, because this marriage isn't about anybody else. Right? We're not trying to satisfy anybody else once for our life, because we know, especially as a man, I can admit that women have it harder in this area, because I feel like a lot of times y'all are pressured by the people around you, especially as you get older in age. Like you hit 30 and like, girl, you not married yet? Oh, where are my grandkids? You ain't got no grandkids yet? Like you ain't got no man yet? But like men, we're not pressured that. It's the exact opposite. It's a double standard. We're in our 30s with no kids. People like, oh man, that's what's up. Yeah. How you get to 30 years old not having no kids? Oh man, you're not married yet. Don't even worry about that. Continue to focus on yourself. Focus on your career. So me as a man, and I know other men out there, we understand the pressures that women are under because of society's standards and thoughts about when a woman should be married, when a woman should have kids. But we're trying to make this thing last, right? And you and your partner have to make the decision on when is the right time, because the only people who know your situation or should know your situation is you and your partner. But there is, times where it could be too long.
Yeah. So like, okay, for example, I gave the 5-year mark, you should know, right? That does not mean that it should take or has to take 5 years for an engagement to come or the wedding to come, right? That is not the case. And I feel like in some situations, and getting back to the question from our real one, with her saying, they've been together 9 years, they talked about it, she was clear to make her intentions known early on and to restate them later on, and he was receptive of them. It poses the question to what is stopping him. Like, what is the problem, right? Because just say, for example, they are young, right? He said after she graduated. So she graduated, she's on the path of, getting her career started, or maybe it's already started, ready to, settle down, get married, to have her family. Like she got her stuff together, right? So my question would be, in that situation or in any other situation that could be similar, is, well, where is he at, right? Yeah. Are you on the same path to where, if you were doing something trying to figure out your career, is he at that point as well? Right. Because a lot of times I feel like the man is looked at as the provider, right? He's supposed to take care of the family and provide for his family. So does he feel like he's in that position to be that provider right now? Or is he still trying to, get to that position? Is he still trying to work on finding his career? Is things not coming through or set up for him? Is he in school still? Like, those are all questions that come into play. Maybe he's an entrepreneur and he's trying to get his business off the ground, and he needs that to start rolling in before he feels that he's at that position. Like, that's why I said it depends on the situation, your particular situation, because a lot of things could be playing a part in it.
But right? I think that's the importance of doing things in the right order. Because I think that she said in there that they just went and bought a house. They've been in there for a year or two, I believe that she said. And it's like, that can hurt your goals of being in a marriage. Because now you're playing house, you're playing wife without the commitment from the person, right? And some men, I'm not saying all men, but some men can be like, what is the point of getting married? We're already doing what married people do.
That's true.
Like, you're already doing what a wife does. We already playing house. We just bought a house together. This is a 30-year commitment. If you took out a 30-year mortgage that you made with somebody who hasn't yet committed to you, in 30 years, when you get to a certain age, that's a lifetime.
Right.
Right? So you got to do things in the right order. And it's like, we all make mistakes in our life, so you can't beat yourself up over it. You can't go back and change things, but you can change how you move forward. Right? Just have a sit down conversation with them. Like, look, you keep saying that you want to have kids, you want to get married. When do you see this happening? Right. Because it's been 9 months.
9 years.
Oh, yeah, 9 years. My bad. I discredited that. It's been 9 years. Like, how are we moving? Because if we not moving in the right direction, then eventually I have to go my own way, because I'm not going to sit around and just play games.
Right.
Like, straight up. Like, I gave you 9 years to, do what you needed to do, but now I need to focus on myself. And that's why I think it's very important, before a woman commits themselves to a man for that amount of time, because you said, is he an entrepreneur? Is he in school? Is he doing this, that, and the third? It's so important for men, before they find a woman, they need to find their purpose in life. They need to have a vision for their life. Like, where are they headed in their life? So that when they meet a woman, they can tell the woman exactly where they're trying to go, right? Where they're trying to take their family. Like a woman, before you get married to a man, you should sit down and have these conversations. Like, where are we going? Right? What vision do you have for our family? Yeah. Like, these are very important, because if you don't sit down and have these conversations and see where a man's head is, see what type of vision he has for his life, you can end up in a situation where you with somebody 9, 10, 15 years and you're nowhere closer to your goal of getting married because you didn't sit down and find out what that man had in his vision for his future or for your future.
Right. I feel like also like just coming from a woman's point of view, it's just like, I don't think men necessarily think about how we think about like our biological clock and all of that type of stuff.
I remember we
right?
had talks about that a lot. Yeah.
Just because like that's a very serious thing. And, you know, you get to a certain point where it's just like, you know, the man's pushing it off. And you may want to have children. You may want to get married and settle down. And it's just like, if I spend 9, 10 years with you and I invest all this time in you and you're still not clear on what you want out of life, and I know for sure that this is what I want, I up and leave. Now I got to go get into a new situation, right? But I can't rush into that new situation with somebody else like, oh, well, this is my time clock and I need to have
we need to do this in 3 months because the last person I spent 10 years
like,
with.
You can't do that. So it's just like you have to be mindful of that because as you get older and you get mature, certain things factor in. Granted, you know, there's ways to have children till, you know, ages then who knows, you know, I ain't throwing numbers out, crazy. But you can have children up in age, but at the same time, it's just like it puts a lot of pressure and, you know, stress on a woman's body and so much other things. So it's just like, make sure that you're making your intentions clear, what you want out of that relationship, right? If you sit up here as a man talking, now I'm referencing the message. If you told her that, you know, this is what you want to
honor your word,
right?
Man.
Back it up, like be a man of your word and honor that and have that serious conversation of you told her specifically after graduation. If that was me, I would be thinking on graduation,
pop it
you about
at
to
my
be questioned,
ceremony,
right? You about to be on a knee after graduation with my ring, like to be honest. But if that didn't happen, it's just like, now you have to realize she did her part, right? She held up her end of doing everything that she was supposed to do and that she said she was going to do and that y'all talked about. So now you have to do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And if you're not going to do that, then you need to have that conversation with her so that she can exit and go do what she needs to do to move on with her life.
Like, yeah, it's all about being honest. Like, don't hold on to people for your own selfish ways. If you don't want to get married, then just tell her that. Like, don't lie to them to hold on to them, man. That's what boys do. Like, we grown men, like, we got to be honest. Like, even if it hurts them, holding on to them when you know what type of goals they have for their life, especially in a relationship, is going to hurt them even more because they're going to feel like they're wasting time. So for those of you men who are out there on the fence in relationships and may be scared, you know, to retire the jersey, I get it. You know, the marriage wasn't really spoken into us growing up. We heard a lot of bad stories about marriage. But what I can tell you almost 5 years going in is marriage is a beautiful thing.
A beautiful thing.
Yeah, like like being able to start a family with somebody, to be able to build a future with somebody, to be able to lay down every night and just pillow talk with somebody about the things that you know you're struggling with and the things that you're excelling with. It's a beautiful thing to have a partner who complements your weaknesses. Right? And y'all can just build a life together. Like, I was scared of marriage when I was growing up too, but now that I'm able to experience, I know that if you put in the work, it's a beautiful thing. So make the decision. If that's something you want to do, then do it. But don't sit up here and play with these women's emotion, man. Be a man about things and handle your business. And if you do make that commitment to marry somebody, to marry a woman, then be that man that they need to be.
Right.
Like, make the commitment for life. Don't make it for a couple of months. Don't make it for a couple of years and then somebody else pique your interest and then you up and you leave your wife, you leave your family. Like, stay there and do what's necessary to work on your marriage and build this family. And build this generational wealth.
Yes.
You know, plant your seeds. You know what I mean?
Speak. But yes, I feel like just to wrap it up, I feel like just to, you know, stress the importance of getting to know your partner. Take the time, like Devin said, every relationship has a season, right? And there's a lesson in every one of those seasons. So take the time to get to know each other when y'all first start dating. know what they like, what sparks their interest, what they want to do with their future, whatever makes them happy. Get to know that part of them. Go through your dating phase where y'all going out, having a good time, traveling, you're young, you're older, whatever. Like, enjoy that phase. Mm-hmm. Then when you get engaged, enjoy the phase of being engaged. You don't have to rush to, have this ceremony and this wedding, because like I said, once you enter that phase from engaged to marriage, blur. Once you get into that marriage phase, it's real. Like, it's just like all the glitz and glams and all the googly eyes and all of that just stops, and it's just like a screeching halt. Like, oh, this is real. The band stopped playing. Okay. The food stopped getting served. And it's really just y'all two. Right. Having to figure it out. Doing. So make sure, like, even in that engagement, stage, to go to premarital counseling. Yes. Like, one of the reasons why we said we shouldn't have got married is because we went through hell. Like, literally, we went through hell with everything we went through with Leah having cancer. Mm-hmm. And when we won the Not Dream Wedding, was like everything was expedited. Yeah. And we went from going through hell to getting married. And we never really took the time out to work out our issues, to work out the trauma that we went through. Because I had just went through trauma. And Asha went through trauma. I remember after we got married, we sat down and we finally had a real conversation on what that experience was like. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, Asha really opened up to me, breaking down, crying about what she went through, feeling like that she was all alone, that I wasn't there for her like she was there for me. Mm-hmm. And it made me realize that maybe we shouldn't have got married so fast. Mm-hmm. That we should have just put the brakes on everything and told everybody, hold on. Right. Like, there's some things that we need to work through, right? So that when we get into this marathon, this Boston Marathon, we're better equipped to go the distance. Right. But because we rushed into it, we pulled some hamstrings, we caught some cramps, we was crawling on the ground, looking around, see who had some water to give us. We dehydrated. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we're putting in the work right now, and we're sharing that work with you guys. So put in the work. Mm-hmm. It's not about rushing to get married, but it's about when you get married, making it last. Absolutely. Like, that should be the focus. Like, getting married shouldn't be the focus, but making and staying married should be the focus. Yes. So don't let nobody pressure you, man. Yeah. And keep it 100 with each other. Men, keep it 100 with the women out there. Stop lying to them. Stop leading them on. Stop being scared that you're going to lose them if you tell them you don't see marriage in your future. Yeah. Like, if you don't see marriage in your future, there's another woman out there who don't see marriage in her future either, and y'all can just not be married together. Okay. But let the woman who want to be married, let her go be married. Exactly. Yes. So, you guys, we hope this podcast helps some of you guys out there who had similar questions. Our real one that had this question. Yeah. Until next time, you guys, keep it real. Yes, sir.